Anyone here go out to watch the Perseid meteor shower this week? Anyone? Oh. Oh. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. It was online. It was good online. It was good online. Last summer when I started with you, I wanted to impress. But usually in August, and I hope I did, I think it was a good year, there was applause, so maybe I did something right. Usually in August I like to lead worship once or twice. Unitarian Universalist churches often have more informal summers. That is changing, but I think it's a good tradition to give ourselves time to breathe in a different capacity. So this morning, there's some things I want to talk to you about, but I don't know if I would consider this a sermon. And so, you can like that or hate that and let me know after, if you will. Yeah, and it's still summer, although the weather the last couple of days has been a little more autumn-like, and my wife says that this is the end of summer, which I refuse to acknowledge or believe. So I'm calling this summer. I want to tell you a little bit about what I've been up to since our last time together at the end of June. Mostly, I stayed home, made coffee for Ann before she left for work at 6:30, went back to sleep, walked the dog, read a little bit, walked the dog. I wanted to get up to the campground that I would go to in Mount Lassen Volcanic National Park on Juniper Lake. But as Terry has reminded me, it's really still not a good time to visit Lassen. Not only is the only road to my campground still closed, but after the Dixie Fire 5 years ago, the trees are only about so tall. The trip I did make was we flew to Chicago and Green Bay, where I was picked up by my Uncle Ken, and we visited a town you will not find on any map. It wasn't Lake Wobegon. It was a town of Seidelberg, the southernmost town in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Now, the reason we call it Seidelberg is that my grandmother, Margaret Seidel, the eldest of 10 children, was born in a little house there, and we called the house Seidelberg, and then by extension, the town. The town is actually, and you will find this on a map, called Menominee, Michigan. In the last census, there were about 8,900 people there, so just under 9,000 inhabitants. It's along Green Bay, part of Lake Michigan. Now, Margaret was, like I said, the eldest of 10 children in a very German Catholic family. And so Seidelberg has always been a place of tradition to me, but a little bit of fun too. We would go to a beach, which I took Ann to on our first trip in the summer of 11, to a place called Clinky Beach. Do we have the first slide? This is from the summer, I think, from the summer of '89. And that's my Uncle Ken laying in the water, my brother Glenn, and my dad. And we were doing some sort of dance and having a great time. Next slide. That's my dad. Shortly before he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So this is the last time the family was really together before his diagnosis. And it's always been, I have that picture on in a little frame in my office. I keep it with me. Dad could be very stern, and I keep that picture to remind me how joyous he could be as well. I want to say a couple of things about Menominee, Michigan before I go on. And that is that it's not the town I thought it was. Now, there's been a Upper Michigan, if you've ever been there, because of the mining there, Cornish English miner food pasties are very popular there. And there's a place called Colonel K's that has been serving pasties since the 1930s. So my grandparents would have gone to this pasty place where they serve a number of varieties, but most of them are beef and rutabaga. And they taste really, really good. And really, I think they're really, really good. This summer, actually on my grandmother's birthday, July 28th, a new pasty place was opened by a biracial couple, Tom and Jen's Pasty Shop. And it's right on the lakefront. It's a beautiful location. And we were there the first day, and people were lined up, and they sold out all of the first week. And they're doing a great business, which is wonderful. But pasties are not the growth industry in Menominee, Michigan. There's a new growth industry in town, and it boggled my mind. See, Menominee is just across the Menominee River from Marinette, Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, recreational marijuana use is not legal. But in Michigan, it is. So there are pot shops everywhere with drive-through windows. Do we have that here in California? I wouldn't know. I know there were, and this is the language that they used in Canada, in Ontario, where recreational marijuana is legal. They call them cannabis dispensaries. The same phrase here? Okay. It's a little formal, isn't it? Anyhow, when my family had gone there, we would stay in a hotel where Ken and I stayed, the American. This is a very blue place. There were 40 to 50 guys, Harley Davidson's rider there when we got there. This is a blue state. This is a blue town in a blue state. And just up the road from the American where we stayed, and they've always been good to us, was the restaurant we'd always go to called the Schlegel's. And we went there when we went through town. Schlegel's had the best potato pancakes of any restaurant in the world. Past tense. The place wasn't so good when Ann and I were there 15 years ago. And the place is closed now. It closed a couple years ago. Family generations, that whole story, you know it. But they're renting their parking lot to the cannabis dispensary being built next door for the construction crew. So this is a town in transition. I was heartened to see, you know my politics, I think, and it was good to be away from the political bubble that I lived most of my life in. It really was good. But I will say it was heartening to see a billboard that said, "So how's Trump's economy working for all of you?" Put there by the Menominee County Democratic Party. We didn't know that there was a Democratic Party in Menominee County, but they were there and they were asking a really good question. Now I showed the pictures of my uncle, my brother, and my father, and I showed you the dad with a big grin on his face. This last Monday would have been my father's 95th birthday. He died in November of 91 at the age of 60. And shortly after he died, my uncle and I started reminiscing. You know how you do, telling stories about people and their impact in your lives. And my uncle reminded me that on August 10th is often when the Perseid meteor shower is. Now, what you don't know about, I don't think I've mentioned this, is that my grandparents, I mentioned Margaret. She was my grandfather's second wife. His first wife, when he lived in Michigan, was named Bethel. And Clarence and Bethel were advised not to have children. Bethel was very frail. She was slight. But they went ahead and got pregnant anyhow. And when it came time for her to give birth, they left their town where they lived in south central Nebraska, a town called Silver Creek, not far from the Platte River Valley, and went to the big hospital in Lincoln. But even with that, my father's twin brother and his mother Bethel died during childbirth. And so we've always imagined that my grandfather, Clarence, and I think this is completely romantic, but I love the image, walked the Nebraska cornfields under the Perseid meteor shower, trying to imagine his new life as a single parent, having lost his wife. He was a football coach and teacher. And so the night of October 10th, most years, not every single year, I go out to where it's a little bit clear at night, and I see if I find any meteor showers, any meteors. And at first, my father died when I was 27. I thought about him and what his loss means to me and how I'm going to live without a dad. And over the years, I thought less about him because that night really is about my grandfather, coming to terms with this new life, his new responsibility as a parent, and all the grief that he carried forward. And, it's been a long time. So over the years, I think about myself, and the night has become, you know how New Year's Eve, instead of just drinking, you think about the years past and think about the years to come? Well, August 10th is that night for me. And so, Ann and I live in a little apartment next to a community garden, and the community garden has a little open field between the public gardens and some area that's a little bit of an orchard. They have figs and quince and pears and apples. But there's little area. And if I went behind the dumpster for all the yard debris that blocked the light from the medical center parking lot, I can actually look up and see the stars a little bit. It's hazy, it's not great, but it's enough. I've wasted so much time in my life trying to find places that aren't light polluted. Farms are better lit than they used to be. And so I stopped wasting time to do that. And so this last Monday night, when Ann was safe and warm in bed, I was out crinking my neck in the camp chair and realizing that's not working, so I laid out on the ground. And it was hazy, but I could see a little bit. And there are more satellites up there than ever. I did not see, this is early for the meteor shower, I did not see any meteors, just like all of you. But I thought of my dad, and I thought of my granddad, and I thought about the years past, and I thought about the years to come, and it helped me ground myself. And then the next day, and which is a wonderful little ritual, and this is something I just want to commend to you to consider. If there's a way or a story in your family or in your life that helps you take stock one time of the year or one time in the season, try it out. Try it out. That was Friday night. And on Tuesday, I came back to the office, and sitting there on my desk was this. And if you were here that last Sunday in June, you may remember this is a little gratitude tree. And it's really little, and the leaves are really tiny, and you have to write small. And so if anyone here has woodworking skills, I would love to see if we could have a gratitude tree version 2.0 that's a little bigger and will allow for a little bigger leaves. Because I really love this ritual. I wasn't planning last June. I wanted us to write down some of the things we're grateful for in our lives, but I thought I would ask Mileva to come forward and we would read some of these to ground us here. Come on up. To ground us here. So we're not going to read all of them because there would be some repetition. But why don't I take them off and you read them? Or not. All right. Let's get one that's legible. The leaves are too small. We need bigger leaves.
Can you read that? And our writing is bad.
Nope.
No. Okay. This one says, "My father."
I've read some of these, but I put them all back. I don't know what's where.
Kindness. Love, good dog. Love. Love. How many of us can identify? I'm sorry. My sanity and forgetfulness.
Truer words, huh?
Family. Music. Starr King UU Church.
The check's in the mail.
Oh boy. Strength of those who fight for our humanity and rights.
We'll do this one and one more.
Family. Good health for all my loved ones.
I love that. Thank you, Mileva. And that just represents not even a quarter of what was shared. And what I'm struck by is that those sound like you, the people I know here. But if you asked the people in very blue Menominee, Michigan, they would say mostly the same things. We are one large family. And now, that's really just what I wanted to share with you this morning. If that didn't feel sufficient, if that didn't feel like a sermon, if that didn't give you what you needed when you came in today, because it might not have, that's all right. Let me close by offering you this untitled prayer from my colleague Victoria Safford. Draw near, Spirit. Find us here, gathered as we are, and lonely as we are, longing as we do to truly belong to one strong body, this holy communion of beloved comrades, longing as we do truly to behold and hold each other, and to be held in hands of love. Spirit, draw near and dwell with us here. Our beautiful bodies are weary and worn, like our spirits, battered and bruised. Help us to hold each other, heal each other, and help us trust that we are held. We are embodied spirits, earthling groundlings, made of molecules, mystery, and memory. We are made of stone and bone and dreams, all of it as light as air, and sometimes more than we can carry. We know that we are separate from each other and from you only by the thinnest sheaths of skin and by walls of fear. We know our calling is to break down every wall. May we remind each other and remember that where love is, there dwells the holy, and we are part of it and part of one another, fully incarnate and beloved. So may it be.